Hello, my name is Alexandra, and I'd like to talk to you about such a delicate theme as racism. The word racism is rarely spoken. This means that there is still little predisposition to identify it, especially for people who don't suffer from it, because they are probably the ones who are responsible for exercising it. Can you please tell me a little bit about yourself? What's your name? How old are you? And where are you coming from?
So my name is Keisha. I'm 28 now. I'm living now in the UK. Yeah, and I was studying business enterprise. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. And what's your impression about living in Great Britain?
Well, if we're going to like apply it in terms of racism, I feel that maybe from like most countries I've lived, this is one of the countries I less feel it, to be honest, to be like 100% honest. Like, I'm not saying that it doesn't exist, but
Mhm.
maybe it's not as explicit as it is in other countries. So like I feel like, for example, I was born in Portugal, I was raised in Portugal, and I feel like this is my home, like UK is my home more than Portugal, just for the fact that um racism in Portugal, it's like a big thing. And is as you said, the people that don't understand racism because they never been to racism, they will say that there's no racism,
Mhm.
and they won't acknowledge our feelings as Black people and just discard it and say that we're just playing the victim. But right now, at this moment of my life, like after living in so many countries, I feel like UK is my home because I never felt more welcome into society as I feel here. So yeah.
Well, it's nice to hear that. And can you compare living in Great Britain and Barcelona? Like, did you experience any racist behavior towards you in Barcelona? Well, in Spain in general.
In Spain in general, well, I've lived in two cities in Spain. I've lived in Barcelona and I lived in Alicante. So my experience in Barcelona was really pleasant. It was really nice. Of course, when I moved to Barcelona the first time, I was already told that it was going to be like, oh, like it's going to be different from everywhere you've been. And when people say different, I already know what they're talking about, because people are not going to say, okay, you're going to be maybe the fewest Black people in this place. What people say, it's kind of like it's going to be different. And when people say different, you already know what's going to happen. So I came like I went prepared to be different in relations to everyone. But when I arrived to Barcelona, I've met people from all kind of like walks of life from different countries. I didn't felt alone at all. Of course, I did notice because it was put into my head that I like something different will be like, and I did notice that wasn't like that many Black people as I used to see in anywhere, like in in any other like part of the world, maybe. Or maybe it's just like the areas that I went to that I didn't, you know. But overall, I didn't felt like racism in terms like really really strong racism. I felt like stereotypical racism, which is kind of like people did expect me to act a certain way, to say a certain thing, to be like, I don't know, like they expected, because that's the image that society or social media or whatever like painted of Black people. So they did expect certain things. And also, like, I don't know if it was racism, but when I was studying in Barcelona, I was in a school, and when I came, I was told that we would speak Spanish. And I do speak Spanish fluently. And this is one of the things I'm going to say. I do not speak Spanish in Spain, just for the fact that if I speak Spanish, people will think that I'm an immigrant coming to Spain to live off of the government, so they will treat me differently. So when I go to Spain, I do speak English most of the time, and you know that I speak English like totally. Like you need to find me maybe in a club drinking some drinks for me to speak Spanish to someone, because I won't speak Spanish in Spain for the fact that I do not want people to treat me badly. And I know it's kind of like shit. Can I say it? Okay. I know it's kind of like bad, but like it's not intentional, but like I feel like since I was younger, I was programmed to avoid certain situations, and racism situations are one of them. So in Barcelona, I did program myself to not speak Spanish in order for me to be able to be treated like as in, oh my God, like she's not from here. So like people would be nicer to me. In school, like I noticed that people would not speak Spanish, even though they knew that I would only understand Spanish. They would speak Catalan, but then again, I know that there's like a difference between Catalonian people and Spanish people, and they have that thing. So I don't know if that was racism, but like then again, I came from another country. The only thing I speak is Castellano, and no one would speaks Castellano, and then they would for a while, but then they would change. And then sometimes I did saw teachers telling them, listen, can you please speak Castellano? And they would just ignore it because they knew I would understand, so they would just ignore it. And at some point I started like understanding
The Catalan.
Catalan, but then again, I don't know if it was racism or it's just the difference that they already have with Spanish people. When I lived in Alicante, it was a completely different story. Like in Alicante, I felt like in Alicante there was quite a lot Black people, but still people were quite like making sure you knew you were Black, and that's quite weird. It's weird because like I feel like I walk into a room and like you can see I'm Black. You know, you don't need to tell me, you don't need to exemplify it. I know I'm Black. Like I own it 100%. I'm proud of it. Like there's nothing in this world that I would make me not want to be Black. But then again, I come into a bus and I looked, even in Barcelona, this also happened that I went into the train and this lady was sat next to me, and I looked to the window and I could see her, like, because I could feel her breathing to my neck. And through the window, I could see she was looking at me, but like she was proper staring, like she was staring like up and down. But then again, I didn't took that as a bad thing. I presumed that she was curious, you know, because sometimes we like, I don't know, maybe it's me that I'm already was born in a society that's racist. So then again, I don't know how to kind of pinpoint what's racism anymore. Maybe is that, but I thought she was curious. She just wanted to look at me, you know, and like I don't know. So I thought it was fine. But in Alicante, that would happen a lot of times. People would properly like stare at me, and like I noticed that I didn't make as many Spanish friends as I wanted to, because people weren't open to, like, they would add me on Instagram because then again I was speaking English, and they would like speak to me for a while, but then again they would be tired of speaking English, and then I didn't want to speak Spanish, and then feel like, okay, they're gonna start treating me differently, you know, because it did happen. Like first time I arrived to Alicante, I went to a shop, like a Chinese shop, Asian shop, whatever you want to call it, and I bought some flip flops because I had like sneakers and boots and stuff like that, because I was supposed to stay a year, and someone told me that that area was a bit cold in the winter, so I didn't came prepared. So I went to buy some flip flops, and I do know that people know the difference between like good flip flops and bad flip flops. In the UK, I don't know if people notice that, because most of the time people don't care about what you're wearing, depending on like which kind of like groups are you insert. So I did know that coming into a shop, people would might think I was like poor or some, you know, like, because I do know that in south of Europe, like around Spain, Portugal, like the peninsula, there's like a stereotype, and people care really like about how you look, and like people will make assumptions on how you look. And me being black, I already know being black, they're gonna assume straight away that I'm poor, and then I'm coming in to rob. That's what I always been around. That's what I always knew. So that's what I presumed. So I came in with the flip flops, and I kept walking around looking for clothing. And because like here in the UK, you get into a store, I never had anyone going around stores with me, like looking at me. Or maybe I'm the kind of person that doesn't pay attention because I live in a free country. So I went into the Zara, and I start seeing the security guard following me around, and he kept following me around the store. And I was like, you know what? Like, I thought it was funny. Like, I feel like because I was born in a country that was already racist, I tend to like take things in like in a more like in a light way, instead of like getting like really like into it. I'm not gonna turn around and argue with someone. I'm not gonna turn around and put my fingers in someone's face. You can't do it, because you're like you like only the person in the situation knows how they feel, right? So I thought it was really funny, to be honest. I was like, you know what, this guy, he doesn't know, like, is he like for real? Like, is he for real? Like, going around. So I kept going around the same aisle to see if he was, and he kept going after me. So I turned around and I started speaking English to him. Straight away, his face changed. Like, he went to like this from like, because he was surprised, and I was like, you see, like, it's funny for me to see that reaction on people's faces, because associating black people to being poor or to coming to rob and stuff like that, it's not right. And then I just wanted to show him that not all black people are the same, or like not all black people are the stereotype, not even the same, are, because like we have bad people in all races, basically that. So I spoke to him English. He was so like shook. And then he was like looking and searching for people that could speak English in order for them to speak to me. And me, I could understand exactly what he was saying to people. Oh, can you speak? But I would not speak a word of Spanish, because because I just didn't want to be treated badly, because that's what I always done and always went well for me. It's speaking English in Spain and speaking Spanish outside of Spain. So then the guy called someone. I spoke to the lady. Since that moment, I went around the shop many times. He didn't follow me around anymore. And I went, spent 70 euros, took my shit, and just left. And like, it was just funny, it was funny because like, I don't know, like sometimes, I don't know, like it was just funny because like I've lived in Barcelona, and Barcelona was like no one cared. Like no one cared. I didn't felt like any like big thing in Barcelona. It's a really multicultural city, and maybe because I went to like a small town or like a not so multicultural, maybe like it was kind of like that. But then again, I saw that was like in Alicante, I've seen way more black people than I've seen in Barcelona. So then I was confused. And then I met a few friends, and then I spoke to them about it. And like, it was quite like most of the answers I got was kind of like, oh, like they'll always see the difference in us. And like, as much as you try to like blend in, they'll always see the difference in us. So they're like, some people, because they were born in certain, like in Alicante, or there was like Alcoy, I think, a city next to it. So what they explained to me was kind of like, we were born here, we grown up with these people, so these people grown up seeing us. But maybe if they didn't grow up seeing us, they would not treat us the way they treat us. And even growing up with us, there are people that still see us as different. So my experience in Spain was that in a really big reason way.
Okay. Well, I think it's great that you had this mechanism that you're not getting angry or sad when you're in situations like that, but you laugh at it, and even though well, it's bad, and you understand that the situation is bad, but well, it's better to cope with difficult situations laughing than getting upset. So
Yeah, like I don't think like because I feel like racism is not a me problem, is a they problem. It's the
yeah,
people that feel bothered by black people for no reason. Like you could be walking down the street and someone have a problem with you with the way you look. This is not a me problem. Like I don't have a problem with no one. You could be yellow. I would not care at all. Like I respect everyone the same. As long as you give me the same respect, we're in the same level. I don't care like where you like I just don't care, you know. And that's like one of the good things I took from my parents and one of the good things I took from being born in a white dominant country is that I was the only black kid. Me and my nephew were the only black kid in school. And being the only black kid in school, I did know I was different. You know, I did know I was different, but I did saw other people that also were different, but they weren't as different as I was. You know, because I was black. Like you could straight away. Some of them were like Asian or like mix of white and Asian. Some of them were gypsy. I don't know if that's the correct predomination, but yeah. And I don't know how to kind of like explain, but I don't know. It was just kind of like I knew like I grown up seeing it, the difference, and being okay with it. So that was not like an actual problem for me. But then yeah, when I start growing up, I did saw that people would look at me different, and yeah, and then I was asked a lot of questions, and then I was like, okay, and then I just had to learn how to deal with things in a way that it wouldn't make me upset because I don't have to be upset with the way I look. I don't have to be upset if someone is ignorant. I need to try to change it. And at some point of my life, I did try to like anyone I would meet that had a slightly like didn't know like exactly what racism is, trying to not try to make them feel my pain, but try to make them like see on my point of view. But that will never happen because like if you were born a certain way, it's going to be it's really hard or difficult to see people understanding. And like I noticed that, for example, my friends that are white and do understand what I'm coming from, they normally mostly from a different sexual orientation. So then they already have a discrimination against them. And they put the discrimination that they have against them 2 or 3 or 5 times more. And then they will understand my pain. But other than that, I do have friends that are not like nowhere close to understand what's going on with me. So then I don't feel like I should be the one educating. We all have access to the same internet, same Google. Like you can go on Google and make a search on a book, on videos, on this and that. But then again, it's just I found a way to cope with it in the most positive way, and like to make me stronger, and maybe one day when I have kids, teach my kids how to be stronger and like learn like to be like light on these kind of situations. Because I feel like what happens most of the time is that us black people, we feel attacked, and like I don't want to feel like I don't want to feel attacked. Like no one wants to. And like when you feel attacked, you tend to attack back. But then again, I don't feel like if someone is being ignorant, they're attacking me. I feel they're just being ignorant, and then that they just have no idea of what they're talking about. It's just ignorance. It's ignorance. It's lack of knowledge. So then I feel sorry for these people instead of feeling upset or wanting to argue with them, or you know basically that I learned how to laugh about about these things, because it's kind of like what crosses my mind most of the time is kind of like, look at this person, like they think that can just look at me and presume I'm doing this or I'm thinking that or I'm going to do this. They don't know me. They don't have half of the knowledge I do. Why would I be upset if you're ignorant and I'm not? I'm not bothered. Like I could care less. Yeah. So
Okay. And talking about the media, did you notice the stigmatization of colored people in the media or any stereotypes? Is it a common thing?
yeah, that's really, really, really a common thing, especially how can I explain? Um I don't know, like one of the things that I noticed mostly in media was the movies. Most movies are made by white people for white people.
Mm-hmm.
And me being born in Portugal, it's a white predominant country. And I watched the movies and I never seen anyone that looked like me. And when I was younger, it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't a big thing. It wasn't something that I would like, oh yeah, yeah, this is happening. But like with time, you kind of just start seeing, okay, wait a minute, why there's not people looking like me? And then you see movies that would like, because I remember I'm right, but like I remember like when I was younger that I would see movies with like 100% white people, and then I would see movies like mostly like almost 100% black people, and for me it was kind of like, okay, like I'm watching these movies, I'm not seeing but then while you're growing up you start noticing and start realizing, and it's kind of like, wait, what is this? Like, why is this happening? And then with time, I start realizing that they, especially in America, they did an award that was specifically like a separate award, which is kind of like, since black people don't gain anything on the black, like I think it's the Golden Globes and any other awards, they
Mm-hmm.
just like us as black people would decide, okay, we need to do something for our community. We need to start giving credit to who needs, like deserves credit. So then we created like our black awards, right? And then in the middle of creating these two, it start news coming up that black actors were doing the same movies as white actors, but getting paid less, you know. And then it's kind of like, okay, wait a minute, like I'm growing up seeing this division happening, but then again, people are telling me we should be one, but then there's a division. And then while I'm growing up, I keep seeing people trying to blend in, like, and then, but still there is a division. And then why is that division happening, you know? As well as like, for example, now nowadays, there's a lot of like videos exposing people on their behaviors, whether it's the Karens and the Kevins and the whatevers. And in most of these videos, people will, oh yeah, like she's being racist and stuff like that. But there's also people commenting on these videos saying, look, this is black people being black. Do you know what I mean? Because
Yes.
us being upset or us reacting onto these things is kind of like bad, you know? And like like if it was the other way around, it would be right. But because he's a black person and we stereotype as like loud, as aggressive, as violent, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of that in media, like a lot of that, like it's unbelievable. Like sometimes I do see videos, and now there's start showing up more videos about white people like standing up for their own rights, because that was not a thing. That was like a thing that white people, like black people, had to defend themselves. And then now you have people like white people using their white privilege to help us. Recently, I don't know if you've seen it, and you probably haven't seen it. That was this video that circulated Portugal, and it was like one of the motives like that I don't live in Portugal anymore. It's because of that. So I was on Instagram, and I see this video of like people saying, oh, this is like how it is to live in a white country. And I was like, let me see what this is. So then it was a policeman in Portugal approaching a guy, and the police was trying to write him down a fine for being outside when the COVID measurements do allow people to be outside, do allow people to go to coffee places, as long as you have the mask, as long as you're taking all your precautions, And then there was a coffee place full of people of all colors, of everything, but the police just went straight to this guy. The guy was dressed in a tracksuit. The guy had, I don't know if he had locks, but like he was dressed in a tracksuit.
Mm-hmm.
And in Portugal or even here in the UK, what do you assume when you see a black person in a tracksuit? They come from, depending on the tracksuit as well, but like in Portugal, it's kind of like, oh, this guy must be from like the ghetto. Do you know what I mean? So they thought that this guy probably didn't know if they came to him, because it's also like racism is also taking advantage of black people's ignorance to profit off of it. And that also happens within the black community, but with white people, that happens way more. So the police guy just came, start fighting him, and there was a white guy that looked at that situation, saw it, and approached the police guy, and the policeman, sorry, and asked, why are you fighting him? And the policeman was like, he is outside, out of his residence area, and he needs to pay a fine. And then the guy, the white guy, starts speaking to the policeman, gave him a lot of like law facts on why this guy shouldn't be charged,
Mm-hmm.
And like if that happened more times, and if more white people would step up to these people that take advantage of their power and take advantage of their superiority in a way of being white, and spoke up to kind of like use the white privilege to help us and help us do this, which is unify instead of like separate, that would be something that would be great. And that was a really good thing I saw in social media, because normally in social media you see like black people being angry, black people wanting to fight, black people fighting, and like it does happen in, yeah, most of the times it's like it does happen in all races, but people post more when it's black people. People like make it a big deal when it's black people, because then again we are stereotyped as aggressive, anything like that, like on the book that is bad, it is associated to black people. So yeah, that's how I see the whole media. And then also there's nowadays there's a lot of representativity in terms of like black women on commercials, black women on this, black women on that. But for example, I don't know if you remember, but when I was living in Barcelona, one of the things that I was most excited about was that I could go to random shops and find makeup for me.
Yeah.
Because that was a thing that it happens in Portugal. I don't know. Yeah, it happens in Portugal that I cannot like go to a, like, for example, in Portugal you go to a supermarket, which is, for example, if you go to Continent, you go to the supermarket, you will find like a makeup section. In that makeup section, you won't find nothing close to my skin color. Nothing at all. Nothing. Like there's nothing I can use besides a Rimmel. There's nothing I can use besides like a dark eyeliner. Like nothing besides like the little like things like a lipstick. But like for my skin, I won't find nothing at all. And like living and growing up in a country that is mostly white predominant, you kind of feel like that's how things should be. because this you kind of like it's kind of like automatically comes to your mind, which is kind of like, no, I saw on TV they do commercials for white people because it's a white country. I shouldn't be here. You know what I mean? You kind of like, okay, or
You're
then
getting
why
used
am
to
I
it.
here? You start questioning yourself. Why am I here? Why am I here? And why do they don't acknowledge that I'm here and like maybe try to meet my expectations as well, you know? Like on TV, on like anything. Like, and then that was also like a thing which is kind of like it does happen with when people are irresponsible on trying to find representativity. And I feel like I would rather not have representativity at all than have the wrong representativity.
Mm-hmm.
Because I want a black woman to stand there like a real black woman, not like someone that is kind of like, for example, I have seen a commercial. I don't know where it was. That was a lady. She wasn't black. She was like, you know, like the darker skinned white person, but like she wasn't black, and they were just advertising it as if it was like if she was black. I was so like, what is going on? You know, what is happening here? You know, so like I don't know. Like I feel like in with social media, there's like so much good that you can take from it, but it's not really used for the good. In terms of racism, it's not used for the good, and in regards to the bad, it's more used for the bad because it's more used to like bring down like us as black people, you know. So yeah, that's my opinion.
Okay. So there was a discussion in a Spanish TV program that was transmitted in September of 2019 about a case when a Canadian Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, appeared in a costume and with his skin painted in black. And during 6 minutes of the show, the Tertulians were creating the invisibility of racism by their statements and ridiculing the arguments that criticize blackface with phrases such as we can no longer dress up ourselves in anything, but like to dress up as a black person. So, what do you think personally of this case, and would you be offended by the thing that this prime minister did?
Well, this is funny in my like this is really funny because like you dress up as a princess because it's a fantasy. You dress up as a witch because it's a fantasy. You dress up and you dress. Just bear with me. I think I'm losing battery. Just bear with me. Sorry. Yeah. One of the things. This is so funny. I'm sorry. It's just ridiculous, you know. Like it's just ridiculous. So basically, I can't I can't be serious about it. Yeah, so you dress as a princess because it's a fantasy. You dress as a dragon because it's a fantasy. Like for example, one of the things that people dress up as like Mulan and stuff like that. And there's a lot of people that do find it offensive because there are native of Americans or native like, and they don't like us or people in general to do dress up like that. And I do understand. But for us, people that were born in the new civilization, that's a fantasy because we never seen it. We never been in contact. We like, for some of us, it's really difficult to believe that there's people out there like that. Well, this guy, this minister, I think like dressing up as a Black person is just the most stupid, ridiculous thing I ever seen in my life. Like I I I just like I would like no like when I say this, I just want someone to sit down because we need to be logical about everything, right? So my logical about like dressing up is like I dress up as something that is a fantasy to me because I want to in that moment feel like but for you to dress up as a Black person, it's kind of like what's the fantasy in that? What's the I would like this person to sit down and explain what their track of thought was when they were um, doing that. Because if you do have a good explanation, which there's not any good explanation for it, um, I would not understand because like you're not dressing up as a fantasy anymore. You're dressing up as a person. So what is that? I don't know, like what is that
Words.
to like because some people will say, oh, like, but he was trying to no, like what is that to like to it's really confusing because I cannot even find the words to explain because what is there to dress up as a Black person like like what's the sense of it like what's like what just I would like to be like because maybe that's a thing that I don't know like there's something I need to learn maybe I'm missing out on something but like what's the explanation for someone to just be like you know what it's carnival or this is like Halloween or whatever and I want to be a Black person for Halloween like
Yeah, that's
what
so
like
weird.
it's just kind of like you need to explain like you need to explain because
And also, there was an argument of intentionality or good faith that
yeah,
always
that was
comes
no
up
good faith.
in
That was
such
no good faith on it.
discussions.
No one does that on a good faith.
Yeah.
I might send you this picture. That I'm gonna. So I used to date this guy, and he used to live. He used to live with a guy here. Like they were like Spanish people living together in a house. And I did went like to a restaurant of his friend, and he was like, "Oh yeah, this is the girl I'm going out with," blah blah blah. And the guy was like super nice, so spoke to me super nicely. And then I went to his Instagram, right? And what do I see? Him dressed, him and a group of friends dressed with Afro wigs and blackface. And I don't know if I can find it. I really want to show you because I did report it to Instagram. He did after try to add me on Instagram and I didn't accept it. But I was like, why would you do that? Like why would you do that? Like because it was carnival and I don't know if it was Canary Islands, I don't know where it was, but I was like, why would you do that? Like what's the fun about it? Like are we clowns and like you just it's like do you know what I mean? Like it's kind of like imagine, yeah, I'm gonna paint my face as a clown because it's funny. I'm gonna paint myself as a Black person because is it funny to be Black? Like am I funny because I'm Black? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's weird. That's weird. Um,
And I think this good faith discussions just justify people when they hide cultural or racial stereotypes.
that's one of the things. Like that's one of the things that is just really hard to let people understand exactly. Look, I'll show you. Can you see it?
Wow, the group of
Can you
people
see
is really
this?
big.
And like,
Oh my god.
yeah, but what is funny about this? Like,
I,
what is I couldn't get it. I couldn't get it. And then like they were dressed as like a gospel crew, but like Like, is it really appropriate to dress yourself like replicate a race? Is it appropriate? Like, who, like, I try to think like who educated these people for them to do something like this?
Mm.
You know, and like sometimes they might not have the bad intent on what they did, but then I wasn't there to see how they were acting, because like if you're dressed as a black person, that means you're gonna supposedly want to act as a black person, so you're gonna act isn't within the stereotype because you're not black.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's offensive. And like good faith speeches that won't help anything, like, because
I
these
think
things
it's
are
just
not done with a good intent.
it's just like explanation for your ignorance.
Is trying to justify the ignorance and
Mhm.
still propagate the ignorance,
Mhm.
because if you for example, if one person sees them justifying what they're doing, this one person might like absorb, and if that
Mhm.
person is already ignorant, they'll become even more ignorant, because in the end of the day, they have someone on TV justifying the reasons why they're doing something that is highly offensive, highly ignorant, and just has no sense at all. Like, has no sense at all. So I don't know. I don't know what. I don't know. I don't like. I did saw that, and I was kind of like, I looked at it. I left because it was like my first reaction. Maybe because like when I get nervous, or like when I get to these situations, like the first thing is like to laugh, to kind of like, okay, let me not get upset. And like you look at it, and it's kind of like, if the minister is doing that, the first minister is doing that, imagine how many people will see that and think it's okay. And it's quite sad, because people, I feel like when these things happen, people don't know anymore when things become offensive or when things are normal. It goes from like, it just, the offensive and the normal have no lines within. So people think that they can just do whatever they want. And we just need to kind of like take it as a joke because they're joking. No, just because you're joking, that doesn't mean I'm not going to be offended. I'm still going to be offended. So yeah, I thought it was just ridiculous, to be honest. And unfortunately, a lot of like young kids, which is young kids, or like families everywhere, will see that or saw that, and some of them will just keep propagating their ignorance, because that's
Yeah. No, I agree with
the
you.
reality of the country that they live in.
And going to the next question, can you remember a hate speech or any racist declarations that you have recently seen or heard on TV or radio?
Wait. Okay. That was this video of an Englishman, but I think someone deleted it. That he was like, oh, so there's I don't really know about politics in the UK because I'm more concentrated on other things.
Mhm.
But there was this Asian, and then when we say Asian in the UK is Pakistani, Indian, Chinese, and all that. So she was probably Pakistani or something, and she was running for. I don't know if she was running for anything really big. I don't know. I'm not really sure. And then there's a video of a girl that was with her boyfriend, and she filmed him saying, "No, we don't want you to be like running for anything. You're not from here. Like, you're not from here." And I was like, "Whoa,
Oh.
like, okay." I was like, and he was like, like, I don't care, like, this is not, and I was like, wow, like, this is pretty harsh, because it's someone that you don't consider being English just because of being a different color. This person was born and raised in England and is trying to do something good for the country, but then again, you're just trying to kind of like cut it off. And then I see all the time, like a lot of times, all the time, especially on my Instagram, I did have a lot of people unfollowing me because I do speak a lot. I speak up a lot about feminism and racism, which is things that don't have much to do with each other, but they do actually have a lot to do, because I did like a search and I came to the conclusion that the Black woman, in a scale of human beings, Black women are the lowest well-treated people
Mm.
in a scale, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I do post a lot about these things, and I do read a lot of posts. And one of the things that is quite frustrating is people not acknowledging racism. It's people saying that no, no, nowadays everything is racism. Like, we cannot say anything anymore. Babes, you can say whatever you want if it's appropriate. Like, I,
Yeah.
I don't know, like, when that it starts to be okay for people to think that inappropriate things are actually appropriate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then for me, it was quite like, wait a minute, like, I'm playing the victim, but you're making these comments. Can't you? And then there's people that, for example, I have a friend, and like, bless her, she's amazing. She's the nicest person to me. But that was this time about like when Floyd was killed and stuff like that. We did have a conversation, and I could clearly see and clearly tell that she would not understand what racism was. And we did have plenty of conversations that I gave her examples. And she's my friend. She's not like a stranger from the street. And she was like, but how do you know it's racism? How do you know it's because of your skin color? Maybe because I said something better than you said. Because we were talking about, like, if me and her went to an interview and I had more qualifications than she did, how is it possible that she, that has less qualifications, will get a job and I won't? And then
Mm-hmm.
I explained to her. There was a video also that I posted, and if I can find this video, I'll send you afterwards, which is explaining how two people that go to the same school, that were born in different neighborhoods, are like, if you're white, regardless of where you were born, if you're studying, if you're doing everything, it's the same as a Black person that is studying, that doing everything, you have more chances of succeed than a Black
Yeah.
person. It's clear. It's clear. And like, when I see these comments, oh, she's like, you're playing the victim, like, we cannot say anything nowadays, everything is racism, like, you cannot say anything, like anything. And I'm like, okay. And these are the kind of comments that bother me the most. I would rather someone probably say, oh yeah, um, these N-word should go to their country. These, like, I would rather hear that and be like, okay, this person is ignorant and they don't know like where we come from, and maybe we should like kind of like tell them that Africa is actually a continent and not a country. But other than that, these comments of people like not acknowledging our pain, that those are the worst. The ones that, oh, you're playing the victim, we cannot say anything anymore. And people actually questioning, listen, I'm not racist, but like, can I just ask you a question? The first thing someone says to me, the first time I hear someone say that, I'm like, no. Oh, people like hanging out like in a normal like social display. Oh, I just remember something, Keisha, like, can I make a comment? And I'm like, no. Can I make a joke? No, you can't. No, you can't, because it's inappropriate. And the fact that you're in a table with 10 people and you're just coming like straight to me to make that comment, to make that joke, to make, no, it's not right. We could be the best friends. We could like, you could be my husband and get married with me. Those jokes are not okay.
Mm-hmm.
And these kind of comments are not okay at all. Yeah.
Again, agree with you. And I think the problem is that people don't know enough. They don't want to know more about racism, and because of that, they can deny that it still exists.
Yeah, like, it's really that, like, it's just the ignorance and not knowing to learn more and not knowing,
Mm.
because I feel like some people just feel like it's impossible to understand. So I don't want to understand. Like, you can read a book and find facts that will, like, how can I say, facts that will, um how can I forgot the words. So, like, you can find arguments that will, like, confirm that this is a problem. Little comments, they are a problem. Like, and it's not like, oh my God, like, you're too pretty for a black girl. That's not the worst thing I've heard.
No.
That's not the worst thing I've heard. The worst thing I've heard is that I was, like, I was way too good. Like, no, I was good. Like, I was well spoken for a black person. I was shocked. I was shocked to the ground. I was so confused. And, like, people think that by saying that they're complimenting us. And these compliments with a racist point of view, people don't understand. Oh, but you're different. No, I'm not. I'm black as every other black person. And if you're telling me I'm different, how am I different from, like, my ancestries? How
Mhm.
am I different from the black person next to me? Do you know what I mean? And sometimes it's just kind of like people think that they're giving compliments. These kind of comments come out of ignorance. Why don't you go and read a book? You don't go and read a book because you're not interested. I had this friend of mine, and, like, I love her to bits, and I know that this is something that she, like, when you have a wall, you need to kind of, like, break the wall down. And
Mhm.
she has that because she's white. She was born in a white country. She was raised by white people in a white country with white values, with, and I don't think she ever had, like, any friends that were black, to be honest. I think I was her first black friend, now thinking about it. um so for me, it was kind of like, okay, I'm gonna try to have this conversation with this person, but if she's not gonna get it, she's not gonna get it, and I'm not gonna just force it into her, because I can see that I'm trying to teach you, but you're not trying to understand.
Mhm.
So it's not my place. As long as she's nice to me, and she always been, like, nice to me, and she is been, like, one of the people that always, like, been by my side for a while. And it's just something that, unfortunately, it's something in her that I can't change, is unless she wants to change herself and learn herself. She never made any rude comment. She never made any rude presumptions. She never said anything rude to me. So I can't really,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
So the last question is about white privilege, and there is a problem that exists. The problem that exists is that even if racism is recognized, it is recommended to give a voice to foreign people or people who are not white as objects of the news. The thing is that they already have a voice, so it is more about to give up the media space to minority groups, so that they are not limited to being the objects of the news, but so they are the subjects and could speak on the themes that seem relevant to them. So, what do you think about white privilege in the media? And could you say that the right of information is still a white privilege, or has it changed in the latest years?
Well, um, how can I explain this? White privilege. How can I explain this? So, um, I feel that, of course, in media, they will never give us a voice. And when they give us a voice, no one wants to listen to us, right?
Hmm.
So I do understand why is the media using white people to talk about racism, because I believe that white people want to listen from white people and not listen from black people. And you can tell me, like, and a lot of people can tell me, oh, you're wrong. Like, No, I'm not wrong. It is something that, especially me living in so many different countries, dealing with so many different people, I did notice that it's easier to set the message by the message coming from a white person. Because if the message comes from me, you'll think, oh, she's doing this because she's black. If the message comes from from a white person, you're gonna think, oh, okay, so he's the same color as me, and he has this opinion, so maybe I should think about it. You know, it will make you stop and think, even if you're not gonna agree by the end. It's gonna make you stop and think. If you see a black person talking about racism, it's just kind of like, oh, one more about black person speaking about racism. We do have a voice. We do want to speak up, but unfortunately, because racism is how can I explain, institutionalized, like it's just in the roots of most
Exactly.
countries.
In the literature, in the movies,
Exactly.
everywhere.
Exactly. It's really hard to break, and for us to break, we need to have help from white people, and like most of the time, it's kind of shit. Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
It's kind of like a bit like it's upsetting because we do want to speak up, like we do want to say, like have our own words coming out of on our mouth, and like be that the people to touch your heart. We don't want you to feel touched about us or feel sorry about us. We don't want no one to feel sorry about us. We want people to understand that we are all the same, that we have our different cultures. We come from Africa, as you may say. Most of us were born out of Africa. Most of us, we are one, and we don't want to be treated as different. We don't want people presuming that we're aggressive, violent, or anything else just because our skin color. Because I don't believe that your skin color will speak for you. You know, like I don't want to go to an office with confidence because I was called for an interview and be told, okay, before you come, can you send us a picture? I don't want to be sending no pictures for people to be like, oh yeah, she's black. We need like a black quotation, or we need someone different. Let's put her here. And then when I'm around, be treated like trash. Because that happened to me. I was in a company. I was the only black person, and people would really make me uncomfortable because they would really act weird, and it was kind of like a thing that, okay, I need to separate myself from this situation because I'm not feeling comfortable. And like unfortunately, white privilege goes from mixed race people to white people, and I do know a lot of mixed race people that will not use their white privilege to help um, black people, and that's what's more like upsetting than anything, because you are half of us and you're not helping us. And like I feel like some people are just kind of like scared of maybe using their white privilege, or they don't know, or they're, you know what I mean? Because, for example, around the time that Floyd was killed, I did shared a lot of things. A lot of things. I gave a lot of my opinion because, in the end of the day, I don't care if you don't agree with me. I'm going to say what I'm going to say, and I mean everything I say. And I not worried that someone is going to read it and take it in the wrong way, because if you read it and take it in the wrong way, so then that's when you realize to yourself, when you should realize to yourself, okay, maybe she's right, because I'm bothered about something that was not direction to me, but it was direction to white people. Like, you need to define white people. You need to define the white people that are like do these like mean things to us. like the white people that do attack us. When we say white, we don't have any other word to explain. So that's why it's white privilege, because if you're privileged and you're not speaking out and you're not teaching your friends and you're not teaching your parents and you're not educating people around you, and then you are bothered for me saying, oh, white people are doing this. I'm not saying you are doing this. I'm saying white people, the white people that do call us niggers, the white people that do call us black, the white people that do say black people are aggressive, black people are violent. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they want
And
to cultivate
that's
violence.
when you kind of realize, maybe I'm also the problem, because, for example, I do like believe that not all of my friends are 100% like, how can I explain? I'm not saying that my friends are racist, right? But I feel like not all of my friends would step up in a situation to say anything. I have few friends that I know that they would be like, oh, you know what? This is not right. I don't agree with this. This is not how, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like I did have people asking me, oh, like, I want to braid my hair. Do you think, like, but I don't want to do it because I don't want to offend anyone. If you start thinking that you're going to offend, that's when you know that you might be one of these people that are the problem for the society, because it's only a problem when you create the problem, when you see it as, okay, this is not normal. So if it's not normal, it's different. So if it's different, I might hurt someone on the way, or I might offend someone. Like, I do understand why people ask me, and I do understand that they don't have any bad intent. But that's these little things that people do on their basic, like, everyday life, that might just bring out and come out as, okay, it's not that the person is racist, it's just that the person does contribute to race being a taboo for, because, did you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I don't know if
yeah.
I'm explaining myself
I don't
right,
know, I
but
understand.
yeah, like, and I had situations that I had to have, like, really, like, rough conversations to friends, to people that I consider friends, to people that, like, I do love, and it hurts me to see that these people are not respecting me, not respecting my walk of life, they're not respecting my background, and I did have to step up and speak up. But, like, I notice, and that's why sometimes it's good to have a white person speaking up, because when I speak, people think, oh, she's crazy. I've been told I was crazy. Oh, you're crazy. Like, I'm your friend. I was like, just because you're my friend doesn't mean that what you're saying, it's not racist. Making a racist joke doesn't make you racist in most parts, but it does have a connection. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, for me, it was just kind of like, okay, like, I don't know. It's quite, especially recently, like, I had a conversation with few people, and then people come up and make comments, and, like, for example, I never had, it's just this group of friends, friends as in group of people
Hmm.
that I met recently, and they're not white. They're not white. They're, like, from the, like, north of Europe, not north of Europe, sorry, north of Africa. And they, how can I explain? They're not white, but they were born in a white country, and because they are mixed race and lighter than I am, because they're mixed race and lighter than I am, what happens is that they feel like they can be or make certain comments. So yeah,
Wow.
so
Wouldn't
this
think that
boy,
this would happen.
literally, this boy thought that was humorous to look at me and be like, negra, ha 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 ha. And I was like, okay. The first time I heard it, I looked at him, and I was trying to find the joke in it, you know,
Hmm.
because, like, I was thinking, well, we do, like, hang out most of the times in a group. So like I don't believe this person is racist, but like I don't understand also what's the funny part of calling me black and laugh about it, you know? And I didn't say anything, but he could see in my face. And because he could see in my face, he kept doing it to piss me off. And I was kind of like, what's the knowing what we know now in the world that we live now, seeing the things that we see, because everyone sees it, right? Everyone sees them. And making a joke like that, it would never be taken lightly. It would never be taken lightly. So then jokes like that, like oh negra, ha ha ha, Black Lives Matters, someone saying that as a joke. It's not a joke. It's not funny, right? And then we do have people in the group that came to speak to me and said, Keisha, don't take it like in a bad way. Like they're just joking. It's not a joke. It's not funny. It's not something that you joke with because it's real. It's something that I live with every day. Like I feel that um I haven't been to like really like big situations of racism as most people is most people because I program myself. I switch myself, and this happens to most and to a lot of black people, which is we switch around white people because we don't want to be portrayed as the stereotypical kind of, you know.
Yeah.
And this stereotype is we don't even know where it's taken from. Like I only see, and then the people that do use their white privilege that I see, it's people like it's white girls that like black men. It's like interracial couples that like okay, a white person that marries a black person, that person comes and speaks out, but there's no other people that are not like that like intimately related to the black community that comes out and says anything, or if they do say it comes off as bad for us because then we don't know this person. How does this person is speaking for us if they don't know our pain? So in my opinion, it's kind of like it's easier for the message to get out there if it's a white person to do it. It's not seen with really good eyes from our community just for the fact that it's it's just kind of like why don't you listen to us? Why don't you listen to our pain? Do you know what I mean? And it's just kind of like it feels like it's just gonna be an ongoing fight. Like if you have mixed race people that could say something because they're half black and they don't say anything, and they're kind of like, oh Keisha, you shouldn't be upset. He's joking. It's a joke. You shouldn't be upset. Oh, but he just said sorry. Saying sorry doesn't help how I feel. If I'm telling you you're hurting my feelings, you're being racist, you should listen to what I'm saying, absorb it, yeah, and really be able to acknowledge when you're wrong and correct those things on you, and then maybe teach your parents about it, teach your friends about it. If you see something wrong happening, speaking up, because no one wants to speak up, no one wants to give their face, you know, no one wants to be that person that disagreed with the rest of you know. And it's quite frustrating to see that, you know. It's quite frustrating to see that. Like I had, like I'm not saying that like I don't understand, because like I also myself, I don't feel like I know everything in the world, and I might be ignorant in certain points, and this is like the most normal thing. Like we live and learn. But the fact that we are all like people my age keep acting like they never knew about racism. They never knew how this affects. They never knew that they have a bigger, like the fact that you still have white people, especially in America, calling police on black people, and the police will not need a direct like oh, they're doing this. As long as you're white and you're calling the police will come and do whatever just because you're white and the other person is black. Do you know what I mean? And oh, like, but they do this because there's a lot of black people that do that. Yeah, but there's not, like, not all black people are the same way that not all white people are the same. Not all white people are racist. I do know that. And I'm positive that with the evolution of social media and like companies becoming aware of racism and how can they help and how can they made a change and how can they improve, I believe that that will definitely like come to an end, maybe, or close to an end. But yeah, like it's quite sad to like have to use the white privilege, because we all should be privileged. We all should be in equal feet.
Yeah.
We all should be here, not here and here. You know what I mean? But I feel like it's something that's going to change with time, and maybe people will kind of like just start breaking the walls that they built, that somewhere within it had the racism that is institutionalized. And also, one thing that I want to say is reverse racism doesn't exist. And whoever wants to know more about that should go and look about like how did the word racism came about. Why did racism became a thing? Why is racism? Because reverse racism doesn't exist, but white privilege does. And if people can use their white privilege to help us, that'd be great. If you don't want to use it, don't make bad comments. Don't try to, yeah, just ruin what we're trying to do. So, yeah.
Well, I think we're going in this direction with the Black Lives Matter, and well, some people maybe who didn't know before about this problem maybe now know a little more, and I hope with the time they'll know and they'll think about it even more.
Yeah, and I hope that it brings people to the curiosity of thinking why do, like, for example, I live in the UK. Someone else lives in America, the other one lives in Africa, the other one lives in Asia. Like, how could we all be in contact with each other and decide, okay, let's make us all be victims? It doesn't make sense. And
totally.
Like try to observe more. Like observation is the best thing in these kind of cases. See how people act towards you as a white person, and see how people act to a black person. You know, like try to clock these little things. Like try to listen to it, try to understand it. You know, it's not really like, I know that there's a lot of people in this world, like not only in regards to this, but in regards to other things, that have a hard time putting themselves on other people's places. And maybe it's not easy at all. But if we're able to think, oh my God, like there's so many people in Africa, like not eating, not drinking, not this, like let's do a charity and give them like water, clothing, this and that. Why don't we think, oh my God, there's a lot of people that could have been going through that situation. They're not going through that situation. They're trying to be someone, and we're not gonna just block these people from being someone just because of their skin color. We're not gonna criticize these people just because of their skin color. I'm not gonna stop talking to my friend because she's dating a black man. Like these little things. I'm not gonna stop like I'm not gonna kick out my daughter or my son from home just because she's dating a black guy. Like, do you know what I mean? Like things like that do happen, you know, that do really happen. And just use the white privilege as a good thing. It shouldn't be a thing, to be honest, because I feel like we all should be in the same equal But unfortunately, that's not the reality. And the fact that we have to speak about these things should be indication that, yeah, racism does exist. And yeah, that's it.
Okay. Okay, so it was a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And
Thank you for bringing this team, because I am really passionate about like speaking up and bringing this, like the little that I know or what I know to the table, because I think it's just like it lacks discussions. It lacks people like really like understanding. And like I don't want to have a heated discussion. Of course, if I lose my mind, I lose my mind. But I like to have these kind of conversations where we can sit down, have a chat, and whoever sees this is able to see that there's no need to take and stereotype Black people, you know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm happy that I have this subject because, well, I get to think about it a little more, to read some information. That's interesting because finally, as you're saying, it's about education. It's about observing and thinking about stuff.
Yeah, and learning every day, you know. Oh, do you know one thing? I don't know, like can I speak about like when I met you?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Maybe.
listen,
Okay.
oh my God, this is ridiculous. But like I was so wait, so basically, you know, I was dating this guy and he was like his background is from Russia and stuff like that. And like I remember like them like speaking about like telling me, oh, like I want you to take you back home to my family and stuff like that. And I remember people telling me, oh my God, are you gonna go like to Russia, or are you going to Latvia? And I was like, I don't know, but like he really wants me to meet his family and I'm really excited. And like it's something that like I might regret like right now that I've grown, that I live life and I've seen things, that people start saying, how can you do that? Are you not scared? And I wasn't scared. I was like, you know what? Like I'm doing this. I love this guy. I want to go and I want to do. And then people was kind of like, are you not scared? Do you know that you're going to like a racist country? Do you know that like people can do something bad to you? Like in these kind of countries, people like will like beat you up if it's like if they can, if they like. And I was like, really? And I didn't know about it. I didn't know about it. And I was sent a video on Facebook. It was like it was 2000 and oh my God, it was 2016, 17, something like that. A video of this South African student that went to Russia, and he apparently, I don't know if he was gay, if he wasn't gay, but he went to Russia. He was speaking to someone, and then he was like locked into a flat. He was tortured and stuff like that, and then yeah, like someone sent me that and they were like, are you sure you want to go and meet this guy's family? And I spoke to him and he was like, no, like my parents don't mind, like no one minds, no one cares, blah, blah, blah. And I was kind of like, oh my God, like I'm scared. Like, do you know, I wasn't scared originally, but then I became scared. So then I start like, no, like we're not kind of like dating seriously. So like maybe we shouldn't like do this like that. Maybe we should wait until like everything is like proper serious. And like it couldn't get serious then, already was. But because I was scared, I didn't want to, you know. And like the people that were telling me this weren't like Black people, it was white people telling me this. So I was kind of like, oh my God, like I don't want to die. I don't want to die. I don't want to go to this country and something happens to me, or like I don't want him to have to like he's only one person. Imagine if I go to this country and like all these, and then I ask him questions and he spoke to me and I was like, you know what, like I'm too scared, I'm not gonna do this. And like I kind of backed off and of the relationship because I was scared that eventually I would have to go to his country and like meet his family and all that. And then I just kind of like disconnect and tried my best to disconnect from the relationship. And then when I was living in Barcelona, and I remember someone was like, oh yeah, like we have a new flatmate, like she's coming, she's from Russia. And I was like, fuck. I was like, oh my God, like, oh my God. I was like, oh my God, like I don't know, like I was like, oh my god, like is she gonna like be mean to me? Like is she gonna like I don't know, because like like if like the people were telling me, oh my god, you're gonna go and like to this country and people are gonna do this to you, I was kind of like, oh my god. And the guy that I was dating at the time, he was like Latvian. He wasn't like, and then he was kind of like explaining to me how like he was kind of like trying to explain how he was different from like all these people that are racist and stuff like that. And like we liked each other, so I kind of like, I don't know, I was like, just let go. But like when I was going to meet, I was like, oh my god, like what if she like going to be mean to me? What is it gonna happen? Like we're gonna live in the same house. And then I remember like coming into the building and you were with Philippe. You were downstairs and you said hi, and like I said hi, and then I went up and I was freaking out. I was like, shit, like what's gonna happen? I was like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? And I was like, oh my god, like I'm so nervous, blah blah. And then we met, and like it was just like we got on like fine. We had so many, like even the other day I was telling my friends how it was to like we used to stay in the living room like the whole night talking, drinking wine. We would go out. Like it was like one of like the good experiences for me. And like after that I was kind of like, okay, like I'm not scared anymore. Like I won't be scared. Like I would not let like people like or like society in general, because these people that were telling me this, they were telling me this because that's how society paints like things, so then I don't know, like it was really 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 like a good experience, like because I could like call him and say, you know what, like I met a girl, she's from Russia, she's cool, like she's not mean to me, like she's like the coolest. Like I feel like from everyone that we lived like with, like we got on the most, and like we would go out and like I remember like you would cook and make like everything, and I was kind of like, oh my god, like this is like not anywhere close to anything people said. But then again, it's like how society paint things that Black people should be afraid of certain people because they come from this country, so they're gonna be like this and gonna be like that. So like us kind of like, oh my god. And then by the end it's kind of like, oh shit, like this is real, like this is real. And like the fact that we didn't like lost like contact, of course we haven't seen each other for ages, but like the fact that we haven't lost contact and stuff like that, it just made me feel like, okay, like it's sorted, like it's good. And it was like a really really good experience to live with you and like not be like so scared of like whatever people were telling me that was going to happen.
I wouldn't thought that.
No, because like it was kind of like like and then you were younger than me.
I totally understand
it's kind of like people were just kind of like, oh my god, no, it's just freaking out. And then the guy was like, oh no, like maybe she's nice, like not everyone. And then I was like, yeah, I know that like from anywhere in the world, like you have bad people and good people from everywhere. So it was a really good experience, because then I was like not like afraid, because like you start getting afraid. Like for example, like there are situations in life that I would never put myself in, because I do know that I would suffer consequences that the ones that I don't want to. So yeah, that's it.
I'm glad to hear that. And the same, like you and Jessica, well, unfortunately I don't keep contact with her, but I'm glad that we still follow each other on Instagram even after 3 years.
Yeah, and I'm coming to Barcelona soon. I need to sort it out. I'm coming to Barcelona soon. We need to meet. It's gonna be sick. Yeah. But like, it's just one of them things, because like even the other day I was telling everyone, oh my god, like, oh, like we used to like stay in the living room like the whole night, or like just chilling, listening to music, drinking. We would go out. Like, do you remember Babyface? Like we would go out, chill. We just like go to random places. Oh, I remember that time that we went to that club in
I'm gonna stop the recording.
So